Hey guys, so today we're going to be talking about the brand new Surratt Artistique Liquid Blushes. You guys know that I was like peeing in my pants, so excited when I saw this release. I love Surratt, I love liquid cream blushes, I love his regular artistic powder blushes, so I was really excited for these. So I have all 4 new shades. Beautylish was kind enough in sending me these 4 shades to try out. So we're going to be doing like a little review here. I'm going to be showing you some swatches, the packaging of this, and we'll also be doing some cheek swatches of all 4 of the colors. So why don't we go ahead and start with the packaging. So it comes in this tube like packaging, very Surratt, very similar to a lot of his other products. And we have a cap here that just pulls off, and then we have a sponge tip applicator. So the product comes out of the center of the sponge tip. The bottom here twists. That's how you get the product out into the sponge. So there are 4 new shades, like I mentioned, and they've basically made like liquid versions of their 4 most popular artistic blushes, which are the powder blushes. So I have 2 of the powder blushes that were recreated in this liquid version. I don't have all 4, unfortunately. I was like, how do I not have these Surratt blushes? I knew I didn't have all of them, but I thought I had 3 out of the 4. Anyway, I only have 2 out of the 4. We'll be doing swatches of all 4 of the liquid blushes, and then I'll be doing some swatches of the powder blushes next to their companion liquid blush as well. So just some quick background information on these blushes. They are $45 each. They are made in Japan. They have, I believe, it's so teeny tiny. I think it's a 12-month shelf life. I could be wrong. It could say 18. I think it says 12 month. Wow. I think it says 12-month shelf life. And there is 8.1 grams of product in each tube. So let's go ahead and take a look at some swatches. First, I'm swatching Classic, and this is described as a warm magenta. And here I have it blended out to kind of give you a better sense of how this will appear on your cheeks. I don't have this in the powder version, so this is just the liquid version. Next, we have Cantaloupe, and this is described as a golden melon. And here it is blended out. So again, you can get a nice sense of what it will look like on your cheeks. And this is the other one that I do not have the powder version of. So this is just a liquid swatch. Next we have Parfait, which is described as a pinky coral. And here it is blended out again, so you can get a sense of what it will look like on your cheeks. And I did have the powder version of this blush. So I do have that swatch to the right. And you can see that the color, the tone, the shade, everything about it is very similar to the powder blush. So if you do have the powder blush, you do like that shade, you will be very pleased with this liquid version. And then last but not least, we have Barb a Papa. This is described as a cool, bright pink. And here it is blended out. And I did also have the powder version of this blush, and you will see that swatch to the right. There is a slight difference, I think, between the powder and the liquid blush for this particular shade. I find that the powder blush is a little bit cooler in tone. It almost has, you can almost see like the blue in it. You can almost see that it's like, it almost leans like a lilac. And the liquid blush is just a really just cool tone pink. I don't think you really see much of the blue in there, but very similar. And this powder blush has a very strong satin sheen to it. And I think you can see it in the swatch here. All right, guys, so let's get to cheek swatching. And what I wanted to show you, because I have been playing around with these blushes a little bit, what I wanted to show you was that it doesn't actually sit that well over powder. And I know that's generally a rule. I know, you know, we don't usually put cream or liquid products over powder, but I tend to do that. And I started doing that mainly because I would always forget to put liquid or cream blush down before powdering. So I just started kind of playing around and putting it over powder. And for me, it just always mostly seemed to work out. But there are formulas like this one that don't really sit well over powder. And for the ones that do sit well over powder, I just prefer doing it that way. I feel like the powder base helps the cream product have something to kind of stick to, and it just keeps, it helps with longevity, it kind of keeps it in place. And I really like that. But there are ones like this particular liquid blush that just doesn't sit well over powder. I feel like the more liquidy and emollient the blush is, the more likely it's going to kind of disturb the product underneath. So I did just want to show you that. So what I do is I do have some base down, but I'm only going to put powder on this cheek so you guys can see it. So I just have my Sisley powder here, and I'm just going to apply it to this side. And we're gonna start with Classic. So this was the first one that I swatched. And of course you can use the applicator and kind of pounce it on your cheeks. I would never do that. I would just always kind of pick up a liquid blush with my finger and then tap it on. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm just going to use my finger, pick up a little product, and I'm just going to start tapping it over this powdered area. And I don't know if you'll be able to see that, but do you see that spot? It looks like lighter. It almost looks like there's no blush there. That's what I'm talking about. It's like lifted up some of the makeup underneath, and it's just not sitting well over it. And so this is why I would not recommend putting this blush over powder. I would recommend putting it over like your base product or any of your other liquid products, and then powder on top. So I'm gonna go ahead and apply some of this blush to this side, and I'm just going to simply turn the bottom to get some more product out. And what's great about this dispenser is like one click gives you just a little bit of blush. So it's not one of those like crazy dispensers where you click once and you get like this eruption of product and you're like, great, I just wasted all that. So it is very, very controlled. It is very, very measured, which I appreciate. So I'm going to tap some on here. So I hope you can see on this side, like the application of it is just much more even as opposed to this side where there's this like one spot here where it looks like, you know, everything's just kind of come up. So that's how it's worked for me. Of course, everyone's skin is different. The products that they use are different. But like I said, I would recommend using this underneath powder. And I think because this does have a really lovely, like light gel-like consistency, it's even kind of cool on the cheek. It gives you this really sheer application, and it makes for a really nice layering type of blush. So if you want to put this down as like a base for your blush, and then maybe put something a little bit brighter here, maybe something a little deeper here, just to do like an ombre effect, I think this would work really, really nicely as a base. So I did just want to point that out to you. So for the rest of my blush swatches, I'm not gonna put powder down. I'm gonna go ahead and take this off and we'll swatch the next one. All right, next up we're gonna swatch Cantaloupe, and this is that one that's just a really, really pretty peach color. So just gonna grab a little bit and tap this on. And while I'm blending this in, I just wanna mention that when you get these, there's gonna be a little sticker that is kind of sealing the product shut. And it's going to tell you that because of the air pressure, as soon as you open up the cap, some product may come out. Actually, the same sticker was on the Dewdrop foundation. So some product may come out at the top. So just be aware of that. The sticker will warn you, but I just wanted to mention it. All right, so there's Cantaloupe applied. I just apply that with my finger. I did want to show you applying it with a brush. I still prefer applying it with my finger, but you can use a brush, and I'm using this synthetic haired brush from Westman Atelier. This is the Baby Blender brush. This is the one that I actually use on my eyes all the time, but I've been playing around with this one and kind of applying the blush with this brush. So anyway, I'm gonna dip it into the product here, and I'm just going to tap. You can see it just blends out really easily. I'm just using very, very like light tapping motions. And of course you can add more product if you want. So I'm just gonna grab a little bit more here. It goes on beautifully with finger or with brush. I do feel like I use a little bit more product when I use a brush for obvious reasons. There's like definitely some product stuck in the brush, but both application techniques I think work. I just prefer the finger. I just think it's easier. But that is Cantaloupe. So let me take this off and we'll move on to the next color. All right, next up I have Parfait, and I do have the powder version of this. So I was trying to think of like how best to maybe use both. And because I don't really like this over powder, what I'm gonna do is just put just the liquid blush on one side, this side, and then on this side what I'll do is put the liquid blush down and then dust a little bit of this over to kind of maybe amp it up, maybe just focus some on the apples of my cheeks just so you can see how it layers. So this is Parfait, and I am going to, again, just grab some with my finger here and just tap. Okay, there is Parfait all by itself. I'm going to apply some over here and then we'll layer the powder version on top. All right, so there it is all by itself. I put a little bit less on because I'm going to be layering it. So this side is a little bit brighter than this side. I've got my Surratt sculpting brush, or the angled cheek brush. I'm going to go into Parfait and just dab some onto the apples of my cheeks here. And so there it is with the powder on top. I think adding the powder on top gives it like a softer, kind of more of a blurred effect versus just the liquid by itself, which is this kind of like sheer, luminous, like watercolory look. This has more of that like kind of cotton candy kind of look to it. All right, so I'm gonna take this off and we will move on to the last shade. Okay, next we have Barb Ipapa, and again, just gonna take some with my finger here and apply. I think this one could be my favorite shade. I love this cool toned pink. I really like the cantaloupe too though. So there's the Barb Ipapa, and I'm gonna do the same thing because I have the powder version of this blush as well. So this is just it by itself. I'm gonna go in, layer it up over here. And now I'm gonna apply the powder version on top of this side. So this was the blush that has that very strong satin, almost I would say metallic sheen to it. So that's what you see on this side. That really strong metallic sheen is from the powder blush. Isn't that pretty? The layering of these two is so good. So here it is all by itself. And there is a little bit of luminosity alone, just not quite as much as this side. But this one is such a pretty blush. This one I just feel like really, really brings your complexion, your face to life. It's really pretty. It's really, really youthful. It's very youthful. So those are the 4 new artistic liquid blushes from Surratt. I really, really love them. I am a liquid and cream blush fan, as you guys know. I really love the formula of this. It has that gel-like texture, like I said. It's very easy to blend. It gives you that watercolor effect by itself. It layers beautifully with other powders. It feels cool on the cheeks. Just a lovely formula. I love the 4 shades that they started with. You know, their most popular powder blush shades, but it is a nice array of like cool and warm tones and depth of tone as well. Just really lovely. I would say the only like very minor it's not even a criticism, it's just this sponge top. I'm just never going to use it as an actual applicator. I'm always going to use my finger or a brush like this one to apply. I'm just probably never going to do that. I don't know why. I mean, the sponge is actually very nice. It's like firm, but like spongy. It's actually a really good quality. It's just not how I personally am going to work these blushes, but it is very handy to have it all in you know, one package, the applicator and the product. And as you can see, it can get a little messy, as you would suspect. So that's definitely something to be careful of. I'm just sort of, when I'm done, I'm just taking my paper towel and just kind of like wiping it clean and then putting the cap on. Otherwise, it's gonna be like this mess. And I learned that from those Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless wands, not the filter, but the wands, you know, the ones that come in the squeezy tube, and it has the same kind of like sponge tip applicator, just in a smaller size. Those just got so crazy messy. I didn't mind actually using those applicators to kind of like glide product on because they were smaller, I think. But anyway, my point is I learned from those applicators to just wipe it clean when I'm done before putting the cap on. Otherwise, it's like this mess that grows exponentially every time you use it. So just wanted to pass that along. But I think that's it. I think those were all the thoughts and facts and things that I wanted to pass on to you guys about this. If you guys have tried this blush, please let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. I'd love to hear from you. And give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe down below if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next video.